Let us begin.
All right.
Kendall,
Yes.
I'd like to play a game. Do you
Um,
have Parcheesi, perchance?
I don't have Parcheesi, actually.
Well, then what good are you?
I have jigsaw puzzles.
Ho ho ho! That's not really a game, that's more of a lonely activity.
But what if we did it together in the same room and we weren't allowed to leave?
Thanks for tuning in to 101.3 BKMG The Farce. Coming to you live from separate places, pre recorded. Now presenting The Bane and Mickey Show. In case you haven't pieced it together, we're going to be talking about the wondrous world of jigsaw puzzles.
Whoa! Yeah, a
How they're
thousand
made.
pieces is for beginners. It's all about a million piece puzzles.
If it isn't like the grains of rice as pieces, I don't even want it in my
Oh
house.
my gosh. No. We're going to be talking about a different puzzle.
The puzzle of John Kramer, the jigsaw killer.
Bum, bum, bum.
Because we're talking about the Saw franchise today.
Hells yeah.
A very divisive franchise at that.
Yeah.
But before we delve too deep into it, Kendall, what have you been watching recently?
I saw Cruella the other.
Was it any good?
It was, it was better than I was expecting. It still is very much like a kids kind of movie, like all of the Disney live action remake kind of things. The music is amazing. It's all like 70s rock. It's great. What's her name?
Emma Stone?
Emma Stone did pretty good with her accent. I mean, I like seeing like the villain origin story kind of thing, but there are parts that are kind of lame and like meh. It is very cool. Like it's about like fashion and clothing design, which is really cool. There's some cool stuff. But yeah, what have you been watching?
Well, I heard about it a little bit, and it honestly just feels like it doesn't make a lot of sense with her origin. Like, I don't know how you can make a convincing origin about somebody whose main goal is to kill Dalmatian puppies.
Yeah, it works. Which makes sense in the story, but yeah. And
Well,
they do actually bring in it's cool they bring in characters like you see who ends up being is his name John, the owners of the Dalmatians, and then like she has her henchmen and stuff, so it is fun little.
Horace and Jasper.
Yes.
Horace. Jasper. I watched Little Women, the new
The more
one.
recent one.
Yeah, the Greta Gerwig version. Then I finished Orphan Black finally. It only
Okay.
took me like 10 years. And then I watched Shang-Chi. I went back to the movie theaters for that one.
Nice. Was that your first one back?
It was, and I was in like a AMC really nice 21 and over balcony, and there was no one around. It was pretty sweet.
Nice. Yeah.
And it was a really good movie too.
Okay.
So go see Shang-Chi if you want.
Yeah, I need to see it.
Or don't.
You know what comes out though this Friday?
Your mom.
No.
Sorry.
As far as I know. No Time to Die.
Oh yeah, that James Bond movie that people might care about. Finally. Watch them delay it again.
And then
On Friday they're like, a few more months.
I know, right? Seriously. And then Dune comes out the next week, or the 2 weeks later, although I totally thought it was in like November, December, so I don't know if they pushed that forward.
I know Eternals is coming out in November.
Ooh.
Oh, and Venom 2 came out.
Yes.
Which is supposedly really good and connects to the MCU, as I've heard.
Oh.
I don't know how, but I heard it does.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see.
When does Spider-Man come out?
December.
Lame. That's what I thought. I was just hoping it would be sooner.
You're lame.
Yeah, I am. All right, well, let's talk about the worst escape room puzzle in the history of escape rooms.
I don't know. Have you seen Escape Room?
Yeah, I have actually.
I
But
guess that's fair. That's aren't as bad because some people lived.
yeah,
These people primarily die.
yeah. I mean, what is the survival rate? Like
I think
two?
one, like maybe 4 or 5 people throughout the first 7 movies.
Dang.
Oh,
Wow.
actually, I mean, I guess they have that as support groups. There's maybe like
Oh my
10 of
god.
them
Wow.
in the last one, but still not a lot
Yeah,
compared to
not
how many people end up dying.
really, not a lot. I haven't seen these for a while. Let's the last time I consistently watched them was in early college. I think I've talked about this before, but they all got released on Netflix, so I just kind of binged them when my insomnia was like, haha, you aren't sleeping, so I just binged them at like 2
Pranks.
a.m. But I forgot that Carrie Ellis is in these.
He's great.
Amazing. And
Lee Winall,
yeah, Lee Winnell
Danny Glover.
and Danny Glover.
There's actually a lot of people throughout all these movies.
Oh yeah. But I mean that's fun. But also like it's one of those things that like in, I think this we were talking about this with like hitchhikers that like in the mid 2000s like yeah, they were well known and whatever, but not like
Super popular.
yeah, not like
Except for
big
probably
pop
Carrie
culture.
Elways
Yeah.
and Danny Glover,
Yeah.
because it's Danny Glover.
When I was watching this though, I realized the dual meaning behind the title Saw because
Because Jigsaw?
no, because they use a saw to cut themselves free.
Yes, Kendall.
Yes,
Congratulations. You figured it out.
I know. I would
It
be
only took
great
you
at these
20
puzzles.
years.
Look, okay.
It's also like sort of the perfect. It's a really good horror movie because it's very simple and it's all very compact.
It's contained. Yeah, it's and that was, I read some of the like production history of like why they made this and whatever and basically, okay, basically these two, where did I write these? But James Wan and Lee Winnell are basically Jack and I, it sounds like. Because they got out of college and they're like, let's make a movie about two people stuck in a room because that sounds like it's good, cheap budget. And then they wrote a script about two people stuck in one room. And then it grew way more than that, like all good movies do.
Yes, it did.
It's very well contained, especially the first one. And I mean, that was the point of it, you know?
And I'm like, I feel like they do grow, and some are better than others. And but I like that they all connect. Like overall, I think the Saw franchise is really good, and mostly the first like 7. Spiral and Jigsaw are good, but they're sort of standalone-ish.
Yeah.
But the first 7 Saw movies, I like the way they all kind of loop back into the previous ones.
Yeah. There's certainly a lot more connection than like most general horror franchises will do, especially after you get through like 3. But like the first 3, not only because they were the same director and writers, are very succinct, pretty fairly succinct, and they do kind of go back to back. Like it starts off right after the last one ended, and
Especially
then
2 and 3.
yeah, and then when you get to the 4 through 7, they're different. They're different writers and they're a mix of directors and everything. But everyone that directed had worked on the previous films, so they had some connection and background in it. Like I think one of the like cinematographers, one of the production designers, and I think maybe the editor were like the various new directors, but they still connect pretty well, and they do a good job of making like a never-ending story in that once John Kramer dies, they can still pass on that legacy and basically replace him with anyone,
Yeah.
which makes it easy to have that never-ending story. But they at least don't throw away the John Kramer part. They still bring that up and have these like apprentices that like worked with him and have past connections with him, which I think is really good.
Right.
And they still bring Tobin Bell back for like little
Yes.
flashbacks and stuff, which is great.
Great. Love Tobin Bell.
Speaking
Love
of
him
Tobin
forever.
Bell, let's just talk about the commitment he had for Saw 1.
Just
Saw,
laying on the floor.
yeah, Saw was produced on a very low budget. They could not afford body doubles. So Tobin Bell laid on the floor for the whole shoot in the bathroom.
I wonder if he ever fell asleep.
Oh, for sure.
There's
Like,
no way
why
you're
would you
just laying
not?
there.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Sorry, guys. That's on me. I was sleeping.
I mean, would it really make a difference? No. It would probably just be like they finish, they wrap, and they're like, Tobin, hey,
Tobin.
Tobin, should we just
All
leave
right.
him here? I don't.
It's like, all right, guys, that's lunch. Hey, is he asleep again? Somebody wake up Tobin.
Yeah, amazing.
And when you look also at James Wan's filmography since, he pretty much does almost only horror movies,
Yeah, yeah.
except for a couple here and there,
He's like
like Aquaman.
produced some things. He's been executive producer for a few things. But mostly, yeah, directs and writes horror, which is great. I mean, stick in your, he's got a very good niche for it. So
And him and Lee Whannell work together a lot as
yeah,
well.
and Lee Whannell is also kind of stuck to a fair amount of horror as well.
He's also Australian.
Hey, yeah, they both are.
Are they really?
I'm
I
pretty
didn't
sure.
know that.
Don't quote me on that. I'm
I'll
pretty sure
find
they are
out.
though, because they went
Let's see.
to school together.
Well, you can go to school in the same place even if you're not from the same place.
No.
Well, James Wan is from Malaysia, or at least he was born in Malaysia,
Okay.
and Lee Whannell was born in Australia.
Okay.
So,
Not both Australian, but close to each other.
I mean, it's possible they just came to America and went to the same school.
Yeah.
That's not unheard of.
I've always enjoyed these films for their like special effects and their practicals. It's like almost all practicals. I think there's only 2 special effects CGI moments in the first film, which one of them was they had to key out like a boom op who you could see in a mirror, and the other one was like some camera effect. But otherwise, it's all practical, which is awesome. I think these films kind of inspired my love for practical effects and special effects.
And while they're not always good, they're definitely great if you want a nice gore fest to happen.
Yeah, they're definitely interesting and challenging, and so I just commend them for making them.
Especially making now 9 of them.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Ridiculous.
The
But in a good way.
yeah.
I bet watching that first one would be like, they're going to make so many of these movies. It's going to be like Fast and the Furious, but more.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would say it's kind of like the Fast and the Furious equivalent for horror
I guess it kind of is,
or
huh?
for slasher. I don't know, but the story. Okay, so for the story of the film first, well, like the story is kind of genius in different ways. I mean, you have to be pretty smart to think up these puzzles, anyways. And then also there's like things about like I was reading about like the shots of Lawrence are very controlled versus Adams being handheld to kind of match their character personalities. Like the cinematography is really good, the music is awesome, but the story of the production of the film is just wild and crazy. And I mean, basically 2 recent college grads are like, let's make a big film. But
Classic.
we have no money. So most of the flashback victims are played by friends of the production crew. Just proof that if you're friends with an artist, they will rope you in somehow. I'm so sorry. But then you have things like they finished filming and they didn't have enough footage, so they filled it in with all the still photographs and the newspaper clippings, and they reused shots and like rehearsal footage but made it look like surveillance footage. And I'm like, that's just resourceful.
Got to do something.
There's like after the movie came out, there's like reviews of like, oh, there's this really cool experimental filmmaking technique, and then James Wan was like, no, we just didn't have enough footage. Which is like, oh.
Like, yes, experimental. That's
Yeah.
exactly what we were going for.
The bulk of the film, the bathroom scenes, were filmed over 6 days in chronological order because they wanted kind of that continuity of like reveals and stuff. But I think the whole thing was filmed in like 18 days.
Which is very fast.
Very fast. I mean, all of these were filmed very quickly, like within a month maybe, which is amazing. And then worked, I think when the sequels were greenlit, they had a pretty decent budget for those ones, which I think you can tell, just kind of the scope and the practicals grow. And of course they have more people, more characters and stuff, but they still are pretty like, they're not huge, hundreds of millions of dollars to make.
I also feel like, other than like The Sixth Sense, this movie sort of reinvented the twist ending with.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, all of them have pretty decent twists.
They do.
And, you don't really see them coming.
Yeah.
I mean, once you see it and you're like, oh, of course.
Yeah. Well, and then for the second one, they very few cast and crew members were involved in the ending or knew the whole script. So, they signed confidentiality waivers and stuff, but still they didn't a majority of the people on set only read the first 88 pages, and then they like shot a bunch of alternative endings because they just didn't want this reveal to be spoiled. Which I think is great.
I feel like it's better than the first twist because, it also is
the
like...
first twist just ends really quickly. You're like, wait, what? And then it's over.
It's almost like the scene in... The whole movie is sort of that scene in Silence of the Lambs where they're sort of doing match cutting to make you assume that two things are happening simultaneously.
Uh-huh.
But they're happening in different spaces when Clarice actually meets Buffalo Bill.
And I do like that with
basically the whole movie.
With like the second one, that you have these like two things at once. And I mean, that's kind of how it goes with the rest of them too. Like the third one and even like Jigsaw, that happens as well. You have like the two locations kind of in Jigsaw, spoiler reveal for that one. But like you have the cops trying to solve the murders that are currently happening sort of thing. Whereas in the first one, all of the flashes and anything outside of the room are like flashbacks. And so it's like not happening succinctly, except for the stuff with Michael Emerson. I forget his character's name, but
Zip.
Yeah.
Zep.
Yeah.
Zep. Like Zeppo.
Oh yeah, so here's some facts. The budget was $1.2 million. They grossed about $18.2 million on opening and $100+ million worldwide. So pretty successful. It was shot in 18 days. They spent $400 on reshoots.
Did you say $400?
On reshoots, yeah.
Only $400? That's impressive.
And they reused sets from other productions shooting at the same time, like the police station. Which they do this again for the later ones. Like for the second one, they used the bathroom set from the Scary Movie series. Because Scary Movie was shooting at the same time, and Scary Movie like makes a reference to Saw. And so they're like, hey, let's just use the bathroom set that they are done using. Also, they shot like all interior except for like one shot. So like even the stuff that looks like it's outside is actually inside.
Whoa. Whoa.
I think the first one is very iconic. It's like a classic in a way. Also, because it's kind of different from the rest of them, mostly because it has such a small story. It's so closed off to just the characters, the two in the room, Zepp and then John Kramer. And like, yeah, brief moments of their back stories and their flashbacks, but otherwise it's a very small story compared to like the second one has like a whole team of cops and you've got like 8 people in the game. So I think, and that kind of continues through the rest of the series, is that it's just a much bigger cast and a much bigger world. And so I think the first one is very different and like set apart, but very iconic in a way.
Yeah. I didn't realize, so Donnie Wahlberg is in 2 and 3, but it just made the connection that he's also in Dead Silence, so we get that sort of auteurship connection type deal. And I think the first 3 are really good, but I think my favorite aside from those is probably number 5, just because I really like the overarching trap and the twist associated with it. Like, had they saved everybody, that would have been fine.
Right. Some of the, I mean, some of the traps are just, like I said, genius in like a very macabre, twisted way. Like the mindset, I guess, you have to be in to like come up with some of these, but they're just very fascinating and kind of like that. I mean, I'm fascinated and interested by like true crime serial killers and stuff. Just in like psychology and whatever, and the puzzle and the weird obsessions people have, but it's just it's genius in a really twisted way.
Twisted genius.
Also because the way he connects the puzzles and the traps to the vice or the missing piece that these victims have.
Right.
The reason he's taken them. I mean,
nice thinking, John Kramer.
Juan are like very smart for writing.
Yes, they are. They're a couple of genius fellas.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing with the moving pictures and whatnot.
They do. The series. Okay, so the series 1 through 7 were all shot consecutively year after year after year, like shot and released. That doesn't
surprise me.
Which is amazing because it usually takes really long for horror films to be made because production costs and editing. Of course, since they used practical effects, there's not a lot of editing that needs to be done, like CGI stuff. But and then all of these were filmed in like a month, which is crazy. So yeah, I guess then they just had to edit it. But so yeah, we had 1 through 7 from like 2004 until 2000 math.
2000 and math?
2011.
Well, I think what's also interesting is I'd be willing to bet, based off of that they just, after the first 3 were very successful, they were like, all right, we're just going to make 4 more, because I'm imagining they came up with some sort of overarching story and then just started filming them because they were like, these will make money. And even if they don't, they're really cheap, so it doesn't matter that much.
Well, and then, so, like, right after the first one was released, it was such a big hit that they immediately greenlit a second one, and then that happened again for the third. They just immediately greenlit, and that kind of just kept happening. They originally wanted to make 8 movies, and then decided that 7 would be, like, combined both of them, kind of, just because 6 wasn't as successful. But
fair enough.
Let's see, 4, 5, and 6 all had the same writer. No, wait.
4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, they all had the same writers, so that definitely helps with that storyline. But they all had different kind of directors. But like I said, the directors had previously worked on the original 3 or 4, which really helps, I think, in keeping that kind of artistic style of the other ones.
I'd be curious to know how. So Costas Mandylor, who ends up kind of taking over as the main bad guy in these.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for this 10-year-old franchise, but because he's only credited in the third one as Forensic Hoffman, and then later on he gets a full name. So I'm
Yeah.
curious if they just picked him at random, or if that was sort of planned, or it was kind of like they saw him and they're like, "Ooh, this guy's good."
Yeah, I wonder. Well, and then also like, Wands and Winnell didn't when they made the first one didn't even intention for a series, let alone 7, 8, 9.
Right.
They jumped on the second one right away because that's a great opportunity and they were given budget and stuff. The third one they originally refused, but the producer from the second one had passed away, and so they decided to go with it and dedicate it to him. But then that's kind of why they backed out. I mean, they still executive produced the rest of the
That was
series.
honestly just because they get money from it.
Yeah, but never intended for that. So some of those early characters are probably like they weren't supposed to.
Well, I just mean like going forward. I wonder how they picked Hoffman as the main person, or if like they just saw him and were like, "Oh, cool," or if they were like, "This guy's got something. He's just the right combination of creepy and cool."
Yeah. Well, so then
cricket. Sorry, I'm looking at this guy's IMDb page because I was curious if I know anything else, and he has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21 projects in various states of production.
Dang.
They're either completed, in post, filming, or in pre-production.
Dang. Wow.
He's a busy fella.
Yeah, indeed. So I would say the series is pretty succinct overall and connected, especially with bringing along the John Kramer arc and the apprentices and stuff. But when they wrote the 7th one, they had a very distinct conclusion. They wanted to conclude the series. It was like very purposeful, and they kind of were like, we're answering every question that the audience has ever had, blah, blah, blah. And so they kind of were like, it was supposed to be the finale for the series until 2017.
Maybe this was a good thing. Maybe it was a bad thing. Clearly just a money grab.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, I think for a couple years, maybe since like 2015, I think is when the story was first pitched. Like, they're like, we could make more Saw movies, but it has to be the right pitch, And so they were kind of waiting for that. And then someone pitched Jigsaw. Well, they pitched a version and they're like, eh. And then they pitched another one. They're like, well. And then they pitched, they changed it and they're like, okay, yeah, that'll do. That'll do. But I mean, I think I like Jigsaw. It's kind of bringing in a new Kramer, like kind of that thing I was saying where like you could just endlessly have these series because you just continually have apprentices of him. But then it's also like in Jigsaw, he did interact with the original Kramer. So it's like how many original interaction or how many can we make with original Kramer interactions until we have to be like, okay, now they have interacted with like the second generation Jigsaw or something,
Yeah.
But
I feel like there's no real Jigsaw without Tobin Bell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, and it's cool that they do bring him back, and there's that weird twist of you're like, wait, he's alive? No? What? But I do like Jigsaw because you have this whole part of like Kramer like revealing himself to his victims and like in person talking to them, which is something you never really get previously.
Yeah.
And
then we also learned that was his very first trap with all these people. There was sort of this test group.
Jigsaw is another one of those like kind of history of John Kramer kind of things.
Kramer.
Yeah, it's interesting how like all of his apprentices were previous victims, kind of thing.
Well, I mean, he picks them as apprentices because they were victims.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
like you've
survived.
Shown that it takes what it
survived victims
needs to survive.
Like they somehow won the game.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive. But not you. Not anymore.
Yeah, see that, and they like kind of reach that point that he reaches when, which is what turns him into Jigsaw. You know, he like talks about this. Like, what do you call Jigsaw an anti-hero?
I don't know if you can really call him an
He's like
anti-hero.
on the cusp. You know, if he wasn't killing a bunch of people.
But then they make the argument multiple times that he's not really killing people.
Yeah,
He puts them in situations and they kill
he
themselves.
gives them the choice to kill themselves. So
to either survive or to live or die. Make their choice.
And we're like, that's not really how it works, John, but okay.
But Hoffman's the only one who pretty much intentionally sets up traps that no one can escape from, even if they succeed. Which we do see a couple times where there's people that would have escaped if they weren't made impossible. But then, we're like, all right, that was a cool pre-sequel type thing.
Oh,
and
no.
Then,
you froze. No,
recently, you froze too, but I can still hear you, so it's okay. Then, just recently, they made... Well, actually, a couple of years ago, they announced that Chris Rock was going to be doing a Saw franchise, which I admit initially sounded like a terrible idea. Not because of Chris Rock. I mean, a little because it's Chris Rock, but I just didn't think that it would turn out very well. I was sort of wrong. It wasn't terrible. It was really interesting, and it was actually kind of fun seeing Chris Rock do something that wasn't comedy. It was also amusing because he's always like mean mugging.
Yeah.
Like he plays a cop who tattled on another cop, and now all the other cops are being dicks to him. So the people getting murdered are cops.
Oh, no.
But it's usually dick cops who are like corrupt cops. And that's sort of the whole through line is like police corruption.
Yeah, in like all of the franchise.
And so it doesn't connect well, no, in this one it's literally that's the whole story is about like police abusing powers and police brutality and things like that. And how that's the main focus. And you see it a little bit in some of the other ones. But that's like the big focus of this movie.
Yeah.
And it sort of ends in a way that it seems like they're going to be making more of these.
Oh.
Because they sort of cliffhang the ending a bit.
Leave it maybe open-ended to see how this one did.
Right. And the only complaint I really have is that I guessed it pretty easily.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's just because I've seen all these so many times, so I know what to expect, or I've just seen too many movies.
You know the Saw franchise. You know.
But yes, I guessed it, and that was my biggest complaint. But Chris Rock's pretty good in it. And has Sam Jackson.
Yeah. I'm looking at how much they made. So, okay, they barely grossed under budget. Their budget was 40 million, and they grossed worldwide about 39. So
well, that's not surprising because when did it release?
Came out in like July, didn't it?
Yeah, that's not surprising. Wasn't there an uptick in cases then?
Yeah, and well, was it one of the dual? Was it streamed at the same time? Wasn't it on HBO for a little bit?
Not that I remember.
Okay, I could have sworn it was. Maybe not, but yeah, I mean.
Well, because it wasn't the. Well, it's not part of their thing. It's not a Warner Brothers movie.
Got it. I haven't seen Spiral yet because I kind of wanted to rewatch and some of the series before seeing it, just kind of like a debrief.
Honestly,
so which I did for this episode, so now I can go watch Spiral.
Honestly, if you only just sort of know of the Saw franchise and kind of what it's about, you could watch this movie cold and not having seen another movie. Because it doesn't really connect in that way.
Okay. That's kind of what they did with Jigsaw. Like, they wanted it to be, like, somewhat standalone if you didn't know a lot of the sequels.
But I feel like Jigsaw still connects a lot
Jigsaw,
better.
yeah. Jigsaw connects specifically with, like, the first three, kind of. But, yeah. So, in Spiral, am I wrong in that it takes place in a different era? Isn't it, like, not present? Or am I wrong?
I don't know if it's not present, but it still takes... I don't know. I think it might be relatively present or a sort of present,
Uh-huh.
but also the guy who directed 2, 3, and 4 directed this one again.
Oh, nice.
So they had some sort of connection to the other ones as well.
I'm looking to see if it says what year. Maybe it's just supposed to be kind of like non-specific.
Sort of like the other ones.
Yeah. Huh. But you suggest watching it?
I would say watch it. It's not bad.
All right.
It's not the best one, but it's definitely not the worst one.
I mean, it's another one of those like horror franchises where you kind of have to see all of them at some point, but like you're
I
definitely gonna
mean,
have a few meh ones here and there.
especially when there's now 9 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's okay.
It's like all the Friday the 13th and Halloween, like, you know, Freddy and Jason like things, you know? When are we gonna get a Jigsaw versus
When are we going to get Jigsaw in space? That's what I want to know.
Ooh, Jigsaw in space and
Kramer versus Kramer, but it's
that
two
would
John
be
Kramers.
funny. Yeah.
Kramer versus Kramer versus Kramer.
Think of the character name.
For who?
For no, what the hell? Evil Dead.
Oh, Ash?
Yeah, let's have Ash versus Kramer. Like,
Ash versus Evil Kramer.
yeah, but not or like, you know, that's the crossover I want. That's the Freddy versus Jason
You want to
crossover
see
I
a
want.
saw, buddy? I got your saw right here. And he pulls up his chainsaw arm.
Yeah. What?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Or John Kramer just has like a crazy killing machine for all the Evil Dead creatures.
Yes.
Whatever the hell those things are.
I would say overall the Saw series is fairly timeless. Like you can go back and watch them.
Yeah.
And it's not like all the like classic 80s horror where you're like, "Oh, it's got all those good 80s like trope aesthetics because it was actually made in the 80s." Like this isn't has like I would say it does have the character tropes, like especially in the second one you kind of have like the different character tropes of all the victims that are in the house. But like I don't know, it's been 10 10 years, not even 10 years, I guess, since the first one came out. But I think, you know,
Since
in
the first
10...
one came out. The first one came
Oh,
out
never mind.
in
I can't do math.
2004.
It's been almost 20 years.
Yes.
And give it another 20 and, you know, I'll still be watching all of them, I think.
Yeah, they are sort of timeless in that, like, they don't. I mean, they capture a sort of time, like, but they don't capture the decades and era in which they were made.
Yeah.
They're sort of. They could be set now.
But it's like
and it
something
would
that
still
you can
work,
always easily
sort
go
of.
back to and it's like still good.
Or at least nostalgic in some
Yeah.
places.
Yeah. You might already know this, fun fact, but did you know that the sixth one was banned in Spain?
Why was it banned in Spain?
It was banned in Spain for violence, and then it was
Oh.
X-rated, which usually is a rating only given to porn films. But
Congratulations,
bad.
Saw 6.
Yep, fun little fact.
Congratulations.
I don't really have any other final thoughts. I mean,
If you like horror and gore, watch it. If you're a little squeamish, probably
maybe
don't.
I mean, I think this was kind of a groundbreaker for the 2000s. I mean, I don't think it was, so first of all, it was like one of the most profitable horror films since Scream, which was made in 1996, so almost 10 years before. But like, I don't, like, horror movies were not this graphic in the 2000s, or
They were in the 80s, though.
they were, and I think that's probably chalked up to the practical effects, you know? But like, there definitely was a time period where you didn't get that. Maybe, I mean, Human Centipede came out after this.
Ugh,
I would say
that's too much.
Yeah, I would say that would probably be next. But like, I think
But those
I'm
movies
pretty
didn't
sure
make
Saw
that
kind of
much.
like hit it off in terms of like a new era of like, let's just go all out. So, and then a bunch of movies followed where you're like, people want to see this.
Ugh. Ugh. Human Centipede 2 will be the most disgusting movie I've ever seen.
Oh man. Well, we'll
Till
never talk about those ones. How about?
never ever. I don't ever want to talk about them. I will say that Saw 2, the needle pit still gives me heebie
Ooh,
jeebies.
yeah, yeah,
Like big time heebie jeebies.
yeah. That one
Even
and the
just thinking about it.
boxes with razors
Ugh.
for me.
Ugh.
I don't like that one. But
No. No thanks.
it, yeah, I don't really have any final thoughts. Did I ever tell you though? When we finished filming Two Pints, I was unpacking. Actually, like a year or two later, I was unpacking boxes because I was, I was going through costumes and reorganizing my storage, and I had never really unpacked the Two Pints box. I just kind of left them all as they were. So I was unpacking them and reorganizing stuff. And in the bottom of one of the boxes, I found a single puzzle piece.
Ooh.
However, on set, we did not use any puzzles. Puzzles were not part of the props. So I have no
Spooky.
idea where this puzzle piece came from. But I was
I
like,
like to think that somewhere out there there's someone doing the puzzle and they're like, damn it!
I know
Where's this piece?
Where's this piece? I think I kept the piece. I think it's in my props box because I was just like, I was like, okay, where the heck did that come from? And then I was like, oh my god, it's Jigsaw. And then I was like, Gavin, did you? And then I was like, no. And then, but then I was like, I don't. Anyways, I kept it because I was like, haha, fun horror, fun little times. Maybe I'll use it for something. It's
You know
just
what
like
I
a
feel
single
like?
puzzle piece that that someone's out there is missing. It's probably from like the dorm scene or something. I honestly don't know where it came from because we were never around puzzles.
It could have been from when we were in the STEM building.
Yeah, but there didn't really have. I mean, we brought in board games, but I don't think we had puzzles. Unless, like, Sonova brought a puzzle. Because I mostly just brought my board games. So, I don't know. I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was in one of the board game boxes. Who knows?
You know, it bugs me that maybe, like, why did John always do the same size puzzle piece? Why didn't he just make, like, different
He probably
shapes
had,
of
like,
puzzle pieces?
He probably had, like...
No, he just drew it. Or just cut it out. What I'm saying is he should have made an actual puzzle from human skin.
Ooh, that would have been interesting. Well, I mean, but I'm saying he probably had a stencil that he just, like, used.
But he didn't. You see them cutting it out. And he just freehands that shit.
Okay, well, maybe they're all missing the same puzzle piece somehow in some philosophical sense.
Maybe it's just the metaphor they're missing a piece.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that's the metaphor, but I'm just saying. But also, I guess, to be fair,
I
he's
mean, you
not
still
that
could have
sadistic.
stuck those pieces together somehow, right? You just wouldn't have edges until he made edges.
Maybe he's just not that sadistic and wants a puzzle of human skin.
Yeah, I mean,
It's more
like,
about
he
the
never
symbolism.
kept the pieces, really.
Didn't he?
No?
I don't remember. It's not important.
Because in the third one, they use it as, like, they plant it somewhere.
I don't know.
Or
But
they do that
that's-
in Jigsaw
that's
or
fine.
whatever.
Somewhere along the line, they plant it.
Yeah.
Point is, it's a decent franchise, and if you like horror movies, you should probably watch it. And
Yeah.
actually, if you like horror movies, you've probably already seen it.
You've probably already seen it. Yeah. Gavin, you own all of these, don't you?
Except for Spiral, but yes.
Oh, I mean, it hasn't come out yet.
It is.
It
It's
is
on
out?
DVD.
Oh, well,
I
what are
watched
you doing?
it. I watched it off Redbox. I just didn't buy the DVD.
Why didn't
yet.
you buy the DVD yet? What the heck?
Well, Kendall, I am
What's wrong with you?
incredibly poor.
Kidding.
I have not had money in months.
But now, you maybe will.
Still have no money. Maybe in a couple months when
Maybe
I've
in a
actually
couple
been able to build up any kind of savings account and
What
have a
is
cushion
a
of
savings account,
finances, maybe I'll buy something. But
Treat
for
yourself.
now, treat yourself.
How often do you watch these movies?
You know, I was probably doing that like once a year, once every couple of years.
Mhm.
I haven't watched it this year yet. Maybe I will. It is October.
It is spooky time. I mean, I prefer spooky time to be year round, 12 months out of the year, 13 months out of the year, one would say. But
Maybe that's why there's not 13 months. Because, you know, I once did the math.
Uh-huh.
We could have, if every month was exactly 28 days, all the extra days
would make a 13.
could be used to make an extra month. Now, that month would be longer than 28 days, but there's still enough.
Oh. How long would it be?
Like 30 days or 35 days.
35 days. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine like there's 12 months that are a perfect 28 days except for like October, which is 35 days because we need extended spooky time.
I'm just trying to think. I mean, you could then redistribute those days after you hit 28 for that last month and then go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1,
Yeah,
1,
that's
1,
boring.
1, 1.
Because then a bunch of them
It
have
makes-
29 and then 28 and then
But then
it's even harder to keep track of.
it makes more damn sense than the system we have now,
Look.
where we have mostly 30 or 31 day months and then one 28 day month for no reason.
I didn't come up with it. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know.
Idiots. That's what they're thinking.
I don't know.
Idiots. Idiots.
Anyways.
Shall we randomly topic time?
Let's randomly
this
topic.
biznatch?
I'm going to get us more topics. Jack and I are filming a short film in a couple weeks, and I am going to bring a bunch of cards to set and have everyone fill them out.
Done.
Done, Delios.
Done diggity dog.
Do. Pick a color.
Pink.
What movie have you seen more than 7 times?
Saw.
Probably Saw. Actually,
Saw,
not for me.
Scott Pilgrim.
I haven't seen Saw.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. National Treasure.
Toy Story for sure.
Spider-Man.
Finding Nemo.
I just watched Finding Nemo the other day.
I cannot watch Finding Nemo. I've seen it too many times. I can watch it occasionally, like once every few years.
I have seen The Shining more than 7 times.
Me too, probably.
I love that one.
Only because Brie likes it so much. Nightmare on Elm Street.
Friday the 13th, because I have celebrated more than 7 Friday the 13th. Probably. I don't know. I also just watch it when it's not Friday the 13th.
Jumanji, probably.
Ooh, Jumanji,
the
yeah.
original.
Mm-hmm, the original.
Let's see, what else?
Lost Boys.
Iron Giant.
Aww.
Let's find out. 1, a 2, a 3. 3.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Should we do
Chef.
another one?
I've seen Chef,
Ratatouille.
Lilo and Stitch, Hellboy,
Yeah. Probably a
Seen
lot
all
of, like,
those.
animated Pixar's.
21 Jump Street, Pitch Perfect.
Oh. You've seen Pitch Perfect more than 7 times?
Almost definitely, yes.
Oh, God.
Don't shame me.
I already am.
Shut up. You watch stupid movies too.
What?
Yeah, let's do another one since Kendall's being a dick.
I was just gifted a Chucky sweater, and it's the most amazing thing in the world.
Like Chucky from Rugrats?
No, like
Then why are you even
Chucky
talking
from
about
Child's
it?
Play, because I love
Why
Child's
even bother
Play.
talking about it?
What is? Oh, conveniently, what is your favorite article of clothing that you own?
That Chucky sweater?
It's one of my favorites, for sure. But I just have multiple like hoodies and pullover sweaters that I love.
I don't know if I have a favorite article of clothing. I just sort of... Actually, I have a banana shirt.
Banana.
It's like a short sleeve,
Banana.
collared, button-up banana shirt.
Actually, my favorite shirt
pretty
is
cool.
my Smith's t-shirt, but it is getting holes in it. I need to get a new Smith's t-shirt.
Wow.
I am a dork.
Nerd.
Or my David Bowie shirt. Yes.
David Bowie.
David Bowie.
More like David Bowie. I don't know. I didn't have anything. I feel like we're getting off on too many strange places, so we should probably just get out of here before we waste more of your guys' time. But don't forget to like, follow, rate, share, let us know how we're doing, and if you liked it, share it with a friend.
You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else you like to listen.
Or go to us at baneandmickeyshow.buzzsprout.com or baneandmickey_podcast on the Insta.
And at Bane and Mickey on the Twitter.
Because we still have Twitter.
We do.
Didn't get deleted. Ba-bam!
All right. Thank you for
Thanks for
listening.
listening,
We'll see you next
guys.
week for more spooky spooks because that is the time of month.
Boo,
And
boo, boo, boo.
we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.